You know the story. Long projects lead to long cycle times, which makes people eager to get as much as possible into the project. And thus cycle time goes up. More stuff goes in. The foot in the door problem is a common antipattern in a project-based organization. Let's cram this feature in because you never know when the next project comes around. And thus the cycle times keeps on getting longer. A brilliant way to kick the foot out of the door is to promote small units of work. Weighted shortest job first, abbreviated as WSJF. WSJF allows priorisation by dividing the cost of delay with the estimated duration. So if a valuable project has an estimated duration, but work of low value is added to the project, the priority of the project goes down. The numerator stays the same, but the denominator increases with each unit of work added. This flips the conversation from how much extra stuff can we add to the project while we have the chance, to how much stuff can we exclude from the project while still achieving the same value. That way the denominator gets smaller, and our projects get higher priority. With projects getting smaller, the need for project managers and other administration goes down. In the long run, this might even lead to the end of projects and start of product development by small increments. In the previous episode, we focused on business value in our backlog, meaning we now know what is to do and what not to do. By the way, you find the link to the previous episode in the link below. Your business peers will tell you why you have already prioritized by value. So the first on the list, the one with the most value, must be done first. It's simple. Allow me to elaborate and use everyday examples to illustrate the need for prioritization. Thereafter, explaining how prioritization can be handled. In an ideal world, your morning routine would look something like this. 1. Take the dog out. 15 minutes. 2. Dress your girl. 5 minutes. 3. Dress your son. 5 minutes. 4. Prepare the little one's bag with her lunch. 2 minutes. 5. Sign the son's correspondence book to authorize an outing the same day. 1 minute. In summary, prioritization by value is good, but it does not take into account the time, nor the difficulty, nor the risk not to be done that each task represents. To remedy this, I invite you to discover prioritization by effort, or also called WSJF, weighted shortest job first. WS whatever is what I hear you think. If we literally translated WSJF, it would be the shortest and heaviest work first. The shorter is quite easy to understand. The heavier is a little more complex. Let's just say that the weight of a task is not just about the value it brings, although we could be happy at first with that. In the WSJF concept, the weight of a task translates into an equation called cost of delay, or also referred to as COD. Cost of delay is a combination of elements to know: 1. The value, 2. The risk of not to do, kind of a risk and opportunity ratio, 3. The temporal impact. Should it be quick or not? Is there a deadline for making this functionality available to the customer? Does the value decrease over time? To make things more hands-on, I'll highlight based on 3 examples. You have 3 tasks in your list: I, B, and C. In what order do you do them? Case number 1. All 3 tasks require 1 day of work. The cost of delay is as follows: A equals 10, B equals 3, and C equals 1. In this case, the prioritization is simple. We do A, then B, then C. We simply base ourselves on the COD, or value for simplicity, or in other words, the largest value first. Case number 2. A requires 3 days of work. B requires 1 day. And C requires 10 days. The 3 tasks all have a COD of 10. In this case, the prioritization is simple. We do B, then A, then C. At equal COD value, we simply base ourselves on the duration to prioritize. Of course, none of the cases before are very common. The most common and complex case, or just the real world, is case number 3. A requires 3 days of work, B requires 1 day, and C requires 10 days of work. The cost of delay is as follows: A equals 10, B equals 3, and C equals 1. How do we prioritize? The answer is by means of using WSJF. To remind you, WSJF is cost of delay divided by effort. In our case, the calculation of the WSJF of A is a COD of 10 divided by an effort of 3 equals 3.33. WSJF of B is 3. WSJF of C is 0.1. We will therefore do A, then B, then C. Let's visualize. What do these 2 graphs show us? In green, the smallest cumulative COD. In red, another option, a very large accumulation of COD. We are trying to demonstrate that the scheduling of tasks, or prioritization, has an impact on the accumulation of COD. In the first graph, we discover a good prioritization of the tasks, with a minimalistic accumulation of COD. In green. In the second graph, on the other hand, the accumulation of COD is substantial. In red. Now you'll say to yourself, okay, but in the end, in both cases, the 3 tasks are finished at the end of the sprint. So what's the point of bothering yourself with your WSJ? Don't know what method? This is true if all goes according to plan. But remember, the perfect world does not exist. Cost of delay expresses what it actually means. The cost of something when we experience unexpected delays. Real life, in other words. Let's explore what happens to the 2 graphs in the event of the unexpected event. Say you are forced, by an unforeseen event, to stop your sprint along the way. Or imagine an unforeseen item being added to your to-do list. In the first case, you will have finished, and therefore will be ready to deliver tasks A and B, C being, for its part, in progress. In the second case, you will also be working on task C. However, you will not even have started tasks A and B yet. COD is starting to make sense, isn't it? Let's go back to the take the dog out task, which is at the top of your list because the dog needs to go out every morning. This is natural and mandatory. This task has a high value at the present moment. The problem is that the dog's outing takes 15 minutes. Or half of your 30 minutes time budget. Even before dropping the kids off at school. If you do it first, you only have 15 minutes left for everything else. And in the event of the unforeseen, you will have no room for maneuver. But by the way, what is the COD of this task? And therefore what is its WSJF score? Overall, the risk not to do is rather low. Or even medium. If you do not take the dog out this morning, he may pee in the house. It's embarrassing. But ultimately it's less important than the risk of not dressing your children to go to school. Well, at least I think. Suddenly, the COD value may be quite low, and the duration of 15 minutes rather long. This task resembles task C of our previous graphs. Case number 3. Remember, therefore a very low WSJF score. As a result, a task to be prioritized at the bottom of the backlog. Let's go back to real life. If you think things through, then we might handle things as follows. Take the dog out last. Ideally you have 15 minutes left. and everything is perfect. The dog gets to walk as per schedule. If you are a little late, or something unexpected happens, you may have more or less 5 minutes left, but the dog will be happy with that. In the extreme case, you only have 1 minute left. Then you let the dog out while you put the children in the car. All he has to do is take a little wee. But he will have done it, thus reducing the risk of peeing in the house. Let's wrap up the exercise. What is the COD of each task in the case of our morning routine? On a scale of 1 to 20. And subsequently the WSJF. Take the dog out. A COD of 5. A duration of 15 minutes. Leading up to a WSJF of 0.33. Dress your daughter. A cost of delay or COD of 14. If it gets to it, she can go to the nannies in pajamas. A duration of 5 minutes. Meaning a WSJF of 2.8. Dress your son. A COD of 20. Based on the fact that it is impossible for him to go to school in pajamas. A duration of 5 minutes. Meaning a WSJF of 4. Prepare the little one's bag. With her lunch meal. A cost of delay of 5. In case of the unexpected. At worst the nanny will cook her food. A duration of 2 minutes. Meaning a WSJF of 2. Sign your son's correspondence book. To authorize an outing the same day. A COD of 2. A duration of 1 minute. Leading up to a WSJF of 2. Take out the trash. A COD of 2. A duration of 2 minutes. Leading up to a WSJF of 1. So if we perform priorisation based on weighted shortest job first, or WSJF, then your morning routine would look like this. First you dress your son. Then you dress your daughter. After you prepare the little one's bag. Followed by signing the correspondence book. Making sure you take out the trash. And ultimately walk the dog. You have noticed that the cost of delay of the task. Take the dog out. Is more important. Ranking third out of 6 tasks. It is more important than the tasks. Take out the trash. And sign the correspondence book. But since its execution time is much longer. The WSJF is smaller. So the task has less priority. In conclusion, based on the observation that any organization's IT budget and capacity is constrained, it means that business demand always exceeds the IT budget and therefore the resource availability. Business stakeholders need easy methods to help them making smart choices, ensuring that we optimize for value creation, taking the resource shortage in mind, safeguarding the most bang for the buck principle. Portfolio discussions have proven to become a transparent process by means of visualizing and especially by rationalizing the notion of business value. Not based on complex Excel sheets, but based on an organically grown understanding and acceptance by all stakeholders. Meaning it is no longer the one that shouts the loudest that is getting most attention. WSJF sounds complicated at first, but we have aimed at making it insightful by means of these everyday tasks that are easy to relate to. Renatio strives for an integrated process between business and IT to help your organization achieving more business agility. We will help you to respond to rapidly changing market conditions as part of the core DNA of your organization. We hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for some future publications.